Are you a believer? Today we celebrate a mystery that has captivated people around the world for many years, and that is UFOs. Today is World UFO Day. July 2nd is the day when many people believe an alien spacecraft crashed in Roswell, New Mexico back in 1947. And every year people commemorate the day by sharing their own research and experiences. And that will bring us now to our bullhorn question. Do you believe in UFOs? You can vote right now by going to 12news.com/bullhorn, or you can vote in the 12 News app. And many people believe that Arizona is one of the best places in the country to see a UFO. A recent study from satelliteinternet.com said that Arizona ranked 15th for the most sightings per 100,000 people at 4.38. Now, Idaho came in first with more than 9. In total, more than 300 UFOs were reported over Arizona last year to the National UFO Center. And one of the most famous UFO sightings in the world happened right here in the valley. You may have heard of it, the Phoenix Lights. They were seen back in March of 1997. They were described as everything from extraterrestrial visitors to flares to secret government aircraft, and some even believed that it was just a hoax. But there has never been an official answer, and many people are still searching to find out what happened that night.
Thousands of people who claim to have seen this strange V-shaped object go right overhead. And as a former Air Force pilot, Governor Fife Symington said what he saw was not of this world. It was something beyond what mankind can create.